Well, the success for the fans is always promotion, isn't it?
But is it realistic?
Broad. Is it realistic? Yeah, promotion's realistic. We, as I said, we missed out narrowly in the playoffs last year. We could have achieved it last year. So, promotion is realistic. That's the ultimate aim and goal this season for the football clubs, for the football club. But for me, as a person who has to consider the medium and long term and where we're going, and normally the short term results are reflective of some longer term, strategy. I don't mean what we're going to do in 5 years. I mean more growing the academy and growing the supporter base and all these things. The longer term pieces of work tend to reflect on the short term results. So for me, success in a season would be, we enjoy the football on the pitch. We try and achieve promotion. We develop some of our younger players. So some of our youngest players get minutes on the football pitch to grow their asset value. We maybe achieve some success in the FA Cup. And perhaps we can draw one of the biggest teams and go and play it at the Emirates Stadium or at Old Trafford or Anfield. That's possible in the FA Cup. So those are exciting days. Those are enjoyable days. Can we sell a player? So can we bring in some money from one of our young talent to bring some money into the football club to further develop the club? Again, that would represent success. And then generally, making things more cohesive around the club in general. So the academy making progress to the next level, the community outreach, creating more enjoyable experiences for those people in the community, developing our infrastructure, so improving the training ground. All these sort of things are ancillary elements which, for me, feel like we've made success. We've created success this season on the pitch, and we've moved and progressed off the pitch. Both of them need to go hand in hand, because if one grows without the other, there tends to be an imbalance.
The VAR Show. The one place for your weekly football update.
Hola, very warm welcome to the VAR show, the show which talks about all the various major football leagues in detail. Today we are going to continue the theme of interviews, and we have the CEO of Fleetwood Town and also one of the board members of the EFL, Mr. Steve Curwood, with us. So without wasting much time, I would like to first thank Steve for coming on the show. Thank you and welcome to the show. And I would like to begin by asking you, how are you and what are you doing these days?
How am I? We're fine, thank you. Yeah, how are we coping in the pandemic, I think, is probably your question. The Football League is about to start tomorrow. And it's probably about a month behind when it would ordinarily start. So our first league game is at home tomorrow. Unfortunately, we're still not able to have any spectators in the stadium, but we are hoping within the next month that government restrictions will allow us to bring some spectators back in smaller numbers within the next month or so. But in the meantime, all our games are available to follow on the EFL's iFollow channel. I'll tell you more about that later, so you can help grow our support base in Nepal. But generally, no, we're doing well. We've been back in pre-season about a month with testing and various restrictions, but the players are all in good shape, and we're in good shape, save for, like many clubs, all our revenue streams, or many of our revenue streams, are cut off at the moment, causing obviously financial problems, which maybe we'll come on to during the conversation. But yeah, thank you for the invite, and we're all well here at Fleetwood.
Definitely, and I would like to begin by starting around your personal career. And you have been involved in football industry for quite a while now. Is football something you always wanted to be associated with, or was it something, or is it something very strictly professional?
Yeah, I've been involved from the as a career. I've been involved in football for almost 13 years now. Um, was it something I always wanted to be involved with? Well, I didn't probably know as a young boy at school what being involved in football from a business sense actually meant. So, no, I didn't. I had no plans. I just absolutely adored the game, played football from a very young age, coached grassroots teams, followed Blackpool Football Club from about the age of 8 all around the country, followed England internationally, at home at Wembley and overseas. So it was just a general, as we all have, or many of us have, and the listeners will have, a huge passion for the game. And then the opportunity came to be involved in football when a businessman who was one of my customers when I was working in banking for a large bank took over a very small amateur football club and asked me after some time of him being involved whether I'd consider working for his football club full time, because he knew me, he knew my passion for the game, and would I move across into the football arena. I didn't know what it was all going to be about, but suffices to say 13 years later it was a good decision.
Of course, and you are with Fleetwood Town right now, and as you mentioned, something about how you had passion for the game. Was it something that how do you develop passion for when you have passion for the game, you have for the maybe the playing part only. People don't see behind the work, even coaching to some extent. They just see the playing part. Do you really have passion for the business part of the game also right now, or that is something that you developed?
Yeah, it's probably something you develop because, like you say, people don't understand what goes on behind the scenes. And if you ask many people what a CEO of a football club would do, they probably wouldn't know what your day looks like. But being around the game and understanding the detail behind how things work, everything from player sales to agents to commercial deals to how the structure of football works administratively, disciplinary, the overall full business sector of football. You become embroiled in it, and it's an enjoyable arena to be working in. Comes with a lot of hours. It comes with a lot of hard work, and like anything, I don't think you can succeed in an awful lot if you don't believe in something and you don't have a passion for it. And the long hours and all what goes into running a football club pays off because you're involved in the game you love and you're involved in a career you love. So the passion for the business side, no one wants to very few people want to sit behind the desk and going through spreadsheets and contracts and all what, but the generality of what all that means around the how it makes a football club tick and ultimately what goes on the pitch, it tends to be all consuming, and you have a general passion for everything that goes on in a football club. And it's the growth of a football club as well. It's seeing the community elements grow, it's seeing the academy grow, the outreach programs we deliver, it's seeing different people come into our training facility, whether it's former players or whether it's a ladies and girls football program, whether it's older gents coming in and that we do walking football for the over 50s. So all these things represent many parts of what a football club actually is. Obviously, everyone just sees, or predominantly people just see what goes on the grass, but underneath it locally, it has a real true community feel and a major community benefit.
Of course, and I'll touch on one point. You said how you said many of them do not know what a football CEO does, or generally a CEO does. Could you explain what is your day look like?
Yeah. So as an example, you have many different departments like you would in any business. So we have a food and beverage department dealing with all the player food. We have a destination restaurant. We do match day hospitality and catering. So we have a food and beverage department. We have a commercial department. So a commercial department dealing with sponsorships and selling hospitality tickets. We have media and marketing, promoting our products. We have a ticketing ticket office and retail, so selling all the shirts and paraphernalia around the club. We have an academy. We have a community trust doing outreach work. We have a facilities department looking after all the stadium, the pitches, the training ground. We have a finance department. We have human resources department, people dealing with the IT. So when you have a big company with a lot of moving parts and a lot of departments, as a CEO, you have to be across all those departments. But the one thing I've neglected to tell you, and the key part of it all, is where most of the money's spent, which is on players. So as well as having to deal with all the infrastructure, everything which brings in revenue, ensures that the players have the right pitches to play on, and the stadium's all set and regulated, you then have to get involved on the football side. So it's ensuring that organised recruitment meetings happen, organised technical board meetings happen to ensure that we're monitoring the progress of our academy players, as well as taking reports from sports science and medicine, understanding what the performance analysts are doing and detailing. Obviously, we've got people dealing with the kit and equipment in the football side of it, the kit man. So there are many different parts to the football side, and dealing with the agents and players and doing contracts and sending players out on loan. So it's being involved in all those decisions as well. So there are many things across the football club which keep a CEO occupied. And just as an example, my day today, it's 9:40 a.m. here. So the first meeting of the day I had at 8 o'clock was at the club's hotel. We've got an accommodation which looks after all our under 18 academy players. So I was meeting with the house parent who looks after the accommodation, just making sure everything was okay with the accommodation, a periodic meeting with the people who look after that facility. I'm obviously on here with you. And then I've got a meeting with our academy manager, dealing with the budget, trialists coming in, a general review of how the academy's performed over the last week, and dealing with some staffing issues in relation to the academy. I've also got a meeting with the ground staff about, we spend an awful lot of money on fertiliser. So I have somebody coming in who wishes to promote their product for free, a new product, a green product for advertising. So I've got a meeting potentially to try and save up to £30,000 on fertiliser costs. And then I've got to catch up with our human resources manager over different staffing issues and all what comes with employing staff. And catching up from yesterday's meetings as well, and actions to be taken from yesterday's meeting. And that's one typical day.
Of course, you have been at Fleetwood Town. I have multiple questions from whatever you have said. That's like a full day, and I have multiple questions, but I'll come to that slowly, and I'll get to another topic. Is like, you have been at Fleetwood Town for quite a while now, in the CEO capacity. How has your the goals come through? Like when you first joined and what you envisioned, how has it come through?
Well, when we started, we'd never really had a long-term strategy or long-term vision. I'm a firm believer in make yourself and the environment and your workplace and the people around you try and make things better every single day. So when we effectively arrived at one particular league, and incidentally, if the viewers aren't aware, we have achieved 6 promotions in my time, and that's across 12 years. So we were a small amateur club. and the English football pyramid allows people to start at the very bottom in the what would be the 10th or even 11th tier of English football, and you can achieve promotion every single year and make your way to the Premier League. That is possible. That's the glory of the English football pyramid. We've made our way so far to the third step in that pyramid, and we narrowly missed out in the playoffs at the end of last season to enter the second tier, the Championship, last year. So to go back to your original question, what was the vision? Well, there wasn't a long-term vision. This was all about getting into that next league. What does that next league look like? And then when you're there, you find who you are up against. What type of clubs are you up against? What type of owners are you up against? And we found, actually, we can do things better than everyone else around us. We are better than those people. We can do things a little bit differently. So it's about looking at the particular league you're in and working away and a strategy as to how we improve our football club all the time and how we try and gain success at each particular stage we're at. Now, when you get to the third tier, then because we are a relatively small football club, the challenges tend to be a little bit different, and the goals tend to be slightly different as well. You know, what is success in League One? Well, certainly we still feel we can get promoted to the Championship, as with evidenced by missing out narrowly twice now in the playoffs to achieve that. But you are up against huge football clubs, historic football clubs, Sunderland, Portsmouth, Ipswich Town, you know, European Cup winners. These are massive football clubs, huge towns. Their stadiums have far more people than we have in our town, never mind our stadium. You know, Sunderland, as an example, holds 35,000 people. Our town is only 25,000 people. So it goes to say that it can be more difficult. They've got more money, bigger stadium, more support, more attractive history. However, if you get things right with the people in the building, you follow a strategy, you're organised, everyone's singing off the same hymn sheet, small body of people making decisions, not a big committee. You're not under as much pressure from the supporters because there are fewer supporters. You know, you do something wrong at Sunderland, you know, you're bombarded by 20,000 people complaining about everything from the wrong pies you're selling, or the striker's rubbish, or we don't have them pressures. So it's finding a way at each stage to be better than those football clubs. And that's what we've always tried to do.
Of course, and you know, like you said, like how you have achieved like 6 promotions during a time and countless other, you know, like successful periods. And if you had to describe what a successful season for Fleetwood Town would look like, what would that be like this season?
Well, the success for the fans is always promotion, isn't it?
But is it realistic?
Is it realistic? Yeah, promotion's realistic. We, as I said, we missed out narrowly in the playoffs last year. We could have achieved it last year. So promotion is realistic. That's the ultimate aim and goal this season for the football clubs, for the football club. But for me, as a person who has to consider the medium and long term and where we're going, and normally the short term results are reflective of some longer term, you know, strategy. I don't mean what we're going to do in 5 years. I mean more growing the academy and growing the supporter base and all these things. The longer term pieces of work tend to reflect on the short term results. So for me, success in a season would be, yeah, we enjoy the football on the pitch. We try and achieve promotion. We develop some of our younger players. So some of our youngest players get minutes on the football pitch to grow their asset value. We maybe achieve some success in the FA Cup. and perhaps we can draw one of the biggest teams and go and play it at the Emirates Stadium or at Old Trafford or Anfield. That's possible in the FA Cup. So those are exciting days. Those are enjoyable days. Can we sell a player? So can we bring in some money from one of our young talent to bring some money into the football club to further develop the club? Again, that would represent success. And then generally, making things more cohesive around the club in general. So the academy making progress to the next level, the community outreach, creating more enjoyable experiences for those people in the community, developing our infrastructure, so improving the training ground. All these sort of things are ancillary elements which, for me, feel like we've made success. We've created success this season on the pitch, and we've moved and progressed off the pitch. Both of them need to go hand in hand, because if one grows without the other, there tends to be an imbalance.
Of course, and I'll touch on another topic that you just mentioned, like maybe in the FA Cup drawing one of the historically huge clubs of England. How much, from an outsider, we always hear the huge, the bigger clubs saying that no, we should scrap out the second leg or we should play only one leg. How much of a difference does one maybe drawing and going and playing in maybe Anfield or maybe in Goodison Park make a difference for a relatively small club like Fleetwood Town?
It's massive. It's absolutely massive, because this income isn't anything that you can budget for, because it's unknown. It's unlikely to happen. So any of those particular games provides income which your business cannot forecast. And the amount of that income, so if we talk about going to Manchester United, or let's say Arsenal, it might bring in, between 500,000 to £1 million, which is, £1 million is probably more than our overall gate revenue for the whole season. So a game like that would double the gate revenue by just one game over normally what we would pick up over 23 games at home. So it has a massive impact. However, obviously you can still draw these clubs at home in the first game. Often it's unlikely you're going to draw anyway to get replays, albeit they do happen. We've enjoyed the FA Cup replays at Leicester City. So you can still benefit from those in those rounds if you make it to round 3 when the biggest teams enter the FA Cup. And we've enjoyed historic success in the FA Cup.
So first I wanted to ask you, is this the money that you receive from maybe the when you go to play in their stadiums because of the ticket sales or whatever? So that is not applicable this year, right? So it won't be much of a difference even if you play with them, since as of now most of the games will be behind closed doors.
Yeah, you're quite right. The revenue which can be achieved will be considerably less this season, should we be fortunate enough to draw one of those clubs. However, the details of that are still to be determined. So we don't know whether, as an example, we can stream some of those games, and whether those streaming platforms will produce maybe even more revenue. If it's got a full global audience, it could be even more. We don't know these things at the moment. It's quite complicated. Certain clubs sell and are still selling season tickets at the moment. Some season tickets include the FA Cup. So it's all a bit of an unknown at the moment as to what will happen this year. But there's still potential for broadcasting revenue. There's still prize money, albeit to win a third round game is around about £80,000. To win a second round is about £35,000. So revenue still exists, but yeah, granted, it's unlikely we'll be playing in full stadiums and enjoying that full financial benefit as we would have done in previous seasons.
Of course, and like the pandemic has caused a lot of disruption all over the world in all fields, including football. How much has it affected Fleetwood Town?
Yeah, there's been a significant impact on the football club. We had to bring our players back for the playoffs back in June. We had to test them 2 or 3 times a week. So the testing alone cost us in the region of £150,000 to keep the players tested to ensure they were coronavirus free during the period they were playing the playoffs. We still had to open our stadium to ensure the games in the playoffs could take place, and opening the stadiums costs money. But of course, there's no revenue coming in. But one of the biggest issues in English football relates to owner funding. So the owners of football club often put in an awful lot of money. Now, the owners who put in the money are generally business people who use their successful businesses to inject money into football clubs, which ordinarily, below the Premier League, rely, and quite heavily in a lot of cases, on owner investment. Now, when you've got a pandemic, many businesses are under threat and under pressure, and we're not alone in that. Our owner's business, he sells gas and electricity to the commercial market. The commercial market has been locked down. Small businesses have closed down. So the revenue dries up for the owners. The owners are then under pressure to keep their businesses alive, and putting money into what could be a loss-making football club is maybe not the number one priority. So it's affected everything. The whole ecosystem has been affected by the pandemic. So we're relying on our owner being more entrepreneurial. You know, there's support from the Bank of England and the government, and there's all these sort of measures are at the moment propping businesses up and supporting businesses. How long that lasts, we don't know. And then also you've got the fact that supporters can't come to the stadium, so your income on the match days are reduced. People aren't buying your food and drink. People aren't buying the hospitality tickets, buying the raffle tickets. So all your revenue resources are squeezed. But the costs of the football club continue. The players' wages continue. The academy staff, the facilities, the grass still needs to be cut. So it's a difficult period, and we're hoping for further financial bailout support from possibly the Premier League, possibly government, which is needed to keep every club going.
Of course, and like you know, like you mentioned in the last moment, like you're waiting, or like for any bailout from maybe the Premier League or the government. Do you think that will realistically happen?
Yes, I do. Yes, I think we will. I think we will enjoy some monies. I don't know when this might come. I don't know how, where it comes from, etc. exactly. But I do think that there is sufficient understanding of the important role that the clubs at this level play in the overall ecosystem of football in this country. And it's very important to maintain the pyramid, as we'll call it, at this level, which underpins the Premier League effectively. Our academies grow football players, which often, and many examples, end up playing in the Premier League. And that's through the sharing of revenues to support academies, to support football clubs, to give them the qualitative standard to perform on the pitch in the competitive leagues, which allows the players to develop to the extent they need to. And their hope and our hope is that they can ultimately perform in the Premier League. So very important. So I do think the money will come from somewhere, and it's important to the community as well. These are football clubs in England tend to be historic, what I'd probably term as community assets, even though they are owned by chairmen and often wealthy people. They really do own. They really are effectively owned by that town, that community. Hundreds of years of, not hundreds, maybe 100, 150 years of history has gone in that football club. People's generations of families have supported that club. The work they do in the community in many areas, health and well-being, supporting job creation schemes, supporting obesity, equality and diversity, all these sort of things, mental health. So all these things are important. So these aren't just people playing football on the grass who are paid maybe more than you and I. They represent something wider in a community.
Of course, and I'll move to another topic. And since you're involved with the EFL board also, and EFL have, I think, recently put up a salary cap. What is the idea behind that?
So yeah, the salary cap was to try and support clubs from overreaching and overspending. So we had, unfortunately, the situation of a club called Bury FC, who were one of the first clubs to fall out of the Football League through being unable to sustain themselves financially. And they've been around for over 100 years, and as I said, big part of the community. And that was basically done by an owner who overstretched himself, maybe was paying players more than he should have been to try and achieve success. His core business, as I've referred to earlier, was impacted for whatever reason, and suddenly the money which was going into the football club was no longer there because his core business had failed or was struggling. So it came down like a pack of cards. The club crumbled because the owner investment wasn't there. So the idea was that wages of players have gone up considerably over the last 5 years. And it was from people chasing that dream of promotion, trying to pay a little bit more than the next club. The Championship wages were going up, the Premier League wages were going up. Big clubs such as Sunderland and Portsmouth and Ipswich were in our league, who were able to pay players a lot more than the other clubs. So you might have a Sunderland who's paying somebody a lot of money, and a smaller club wants to try and compete and thinks, right, I'm going to try and pay this player the amount of money. I'll find it from somewhere. So before you know it, clubs can end up in trouble. So the idea was to control the spending of football clubs and bring it back to a manageable level to support the overall sustainability of the football clubs. And it's one part of it. It's one part of sustainability. And we are working on other measures to make clubs live within their means.
Of course, and with the same, at least in the same periphery of in terms of topics, since you have also been involved in banking before you moved to football, basically, and what is your opinion? What do you think about financial fair play? Is it there?
Is financial fair play there? Well, financial fair play is many things. It has its detractors. We have clubs who might be perceived by a wider audience of circumventing the rules to get around the rules. And that's always the problem with financial fair play. We did have something in place in our league called salary cost management protocols, which were designed to allow us to spend only a certain percentage of our income on players' wages, which sounds straightforward and it sounds a good idea. However, it didn't stop the situation with Bury, because if an owner, let's say, puts £1 million into a football club, then that is income. So it might not be the general regular day-to-day income for the football club, that which they would have obtained from ticket sales and selling football shirts, but it is nonetheless income, and it's income which can be spent on wages. Then if the next year that owner doesn't put that money in and doesn't have that money, then the players are still needing to be paid, but the money isn't there to pay them. So it did create a bit of a problem. We will talk more in the future about true sustainability, so only allowing consistent revenue streams to be used in maybe such calculations in the future. Maybe only your commercial revenue and your ticket revenue and your shirt sales and the sales of beer and drinks. So that's probably down the line for the future, but financial fair play as well also needs a lot of energy and investment from a regulatory point of view. A lot of accountants, we're small football clubs. We can't all have a team of accountants working on the exact detail which the Football League might need to analyse where we're up to. So at a high level, yeah, it does make sense. But obviously there's been problems, well presented problems at the highest level. It has a part to play. How we simplify this and make this work, I think it will always be a game of cat and mouse. The rule will be set, and then people will circumvent the rules, and the rules will be changed. But inevitably, that's how things will work. But I do think it has a part to play, yes.
And staying with the same theme of finance, almost every company has taken a hit except those who are only dealing with the digital world. They might have gone on a profit. So has it been a problem attracting sponsors during this time?
Yes, it has, because not only are our games not allowing spectators into the stadium, and often sponsors would enjoy entertaining their clients at those games. So first of all, the money they want to spend with clubs, they can't use it because they can't use the products they bought with their money, i.e. attending football games. Their brand can't be seen by those people in the stadium. And also many businesses have been impacted as well financially. So it isn't as great a position as one might ordinarily hope. So yeah, commercial revenues have been broken, so we are relying on the goodwill of a lot of more local businesses to continue to support the football club, as they may have done for many years, and obviously at an affordable level based on how their business is doing presently. So we've still got good commercial partners and a lot of loyal commercial partners, but it's difficult to grow, certainly at this particular point in time.
Of course, and since you're more of a community-based or regional club, do you think your your options of sponsors are limited because you are only visible in that area much more?
Yes, to get a nationwide sponsor is very difficult. Often the bigger sponsors tend to have marketing agents who will deal with them anyway. So it's really a bigger sponsor will set out a vision for how they see their brand growing. They may have ideas of football clubs who meet with the particular vision they have to create their brand awareness. And it might be one of them has, limited amount of capital. So they might want to invest it in smaller clubs who will take a smaller amount of money. So we are working with one or two leading national brands, but yeah, it's more difficult, and it does come from marketing agency rather than direct from their particular clubs. We do have one business in Fleetwood, which is a worldwide company, which is called Fisherman's Friend. And I don't know if they sell Fisherman's Friend in Nepal, but Fisherman's Friend is sold all over the world and is a throat lozenge if you've got a bad cold, a cough, Fisherman's Friend is probably the biggest exporter in the town.
Okay, so on that note, I'll ask you two last final questions before we wrap up. And my second last question is like, you all are more regional club. How do you all grow out of it? Like, if you want to expand, what is required? Is a financial backup from maybe across the world coming over and financing in your club? Is that required, or what is required?
I think doing things your own way, doing things better than others, as I've said previously, developing your own players, younger players in your team cost less money, they're more hungry, and ultimately can attract a sale value and a game that income can be reinvested into the football club. So I don't necessarily you'd need investment. Yeah, it helps, but I think that just maybe allows you to jump a few years, and but it's a risky strategy, because while investment into football clubs on the face of it sounds good, you'll get a lot of foreign investment who throw an awful lot of money into football clubs in the first year. They maybe get it completely wrong, throw a load more money at it in the second year, and then eventually start to think this is actually a very, very expensive hobby or expensive business proposition, and start to reduce what their investment is, and then it puts clubs in trouble. So I don't think investment necessarily is just the way to go. It's got to be the right partner for the football club. It's got to be the right investment with the right vision and strategy moving forward. But Fleetwood Town's strategy isn't that. Our strategy is to continue to seek support from our owner, but to try and reduce what he needs to put into the football club by growing our own players and maybe selling a player or two. I don't know if you or your listeners are aware, but Jamie Vardy, who you're probably aware of, from Leicester City in England. Jamie Vardy was with Fleetwood, and we sold Jamie Vardy to Leicester City for £2 million when we were an amateur club. He enjoyed one promotion with us. So more Jamie Vardy stories allow the club to develop themselves and make the promotions they need. And other clubs have done it. Burnley in the Premier League at the moment are a small town club in Lancashire, not too far from where we are, maybe 40, 50 miles away from us, and are run very, very well. Do things the right way, don't overspend on players, no specific levels of foreign investment. A traditional football club run very well and got promoted with a very small budget. So it can be done. Not easy. Very few clubs do it, but it can be achieved.
Of course, and my final question is during your time with Fleetwood Town, which moment has been the most proud for you?
Which is probably, well, it's always the last promotion as a single moment.
Of course, and on that note, I'll sneak in one more question. It's if you had the chance to buy one of these two players for Fleetwood Town, whom would you buy, Ronaldo or Messi?
Neither of them. They wouldn't be any good at Fleetwood. We've got far better strikers than them two.
So, on that note, Steve, thank you so much for talking to me, and I wish you all the best as a whole to Fleetwood Town for the upcoming season. Hope you all can qualify for the above league, and hope you can even move to the Premier League someday, and hope we can talk again soon. Take care, stay safe. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.